friends. Welcome to another Say It Loud podcast. My name is Matt. I'm the host for the evening, and tonight we had a great guest, Chris Strand. So what you need to know about Chris Strand is he's a singer-songwriter. He leads a band. He has a new album out. You can find it at chrisstrand.com. And he came on the show for the second time, but this is the first time that you're hearing it because the first time he was here, he managed to completely blow up my computer somehow. I have no idea. He used some kind of like Stranger Things, upside down type electricity power, and he just destroyed it. So we had him on this time. And there may or may not have been, there definitely was, another technical glitch, but we managed to get through it. Somehow Strand just brings that out in us. He's a great guitar player. I've seen him play live several times. And he's also the roommate of one Brian Wolf of Fair City Fire. So we talk a little bit about that. We play a new version of the game name, TM. We talk about Brett's head trauma. And even Ryan Adams gets a little bit of pleasure in this podcast. So enjoy it. It's a lot about songwriting, a lot about the process of writing a song and then playing it live. Enjoy Chris Strand. His band is called Chris Strand and the Sinners. Go to his website, chrisstrand.com, where you can get his new album, Tonight's Just Begun. It's out now. You can also see a picture of him standing in an auditorium that's empty and graffitied, like an old elementary school auditorium. It's a pleasurable picture. I enjoy it. It's my new screensaver. Enjoy Chris Strand.
I like that.
Welcome to Fair City Fire's Say It Loud, podcast number 24 on the dot.
Say it loud!
Yes, with our guest this week, Chris Strand.
Hey,
Chris Strand. Well, first and foremost, we've got Brian here. We've got Brett at Fair City Fire. My name is Matt. And we got Hoosier here, who Chris Strand is petting. He always he knows how to do a podcast, right, Hoosier? He's like, oh, you're going to record? Are you just going to sit here for 40 minutes? Yeah, I'm gonna be
I'll
with
post
you.
up. Yeah.
And Chris Strand is here. What I really want to know is, Chris Strand, why do you enjoy destroying my technology?
Well, you know, it goes back to kind of to the beginning of time, you know. There was technology, and I saw it, and I was like, I can't have that. And then the world was made.
Yes.
So that's
Specifically, it goes back to 2016 when we recorded this podcast once before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Oh, we did.
And your computer made like a very loud fizzle noise, and then that was the end of it.
It didn't want. It was really bizarre. It was like the death of my Alienware. And you came in, I plugged my shit in, and it just blew up like motherboard or whatever happened. I don't even know.
Seems right. But
then we recorded. I think on Brett's computer, we were hooking all kinds of weird stuff into there. We didn't understand it, and it didn't record very well.
Yeah.
But you fortunately survived life for the last 6 months.
I have.
So you're back again.
6 months?
I don't know.
It seems like it was longer than that. I don't know.
Who could know that kind of stuff? I don't know.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody has that kind of memory.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming back, man.
Absolutely.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the exact same podcast as before. So just you do your lines and I'll do mine. Ready?
Okay, I'll try to remember.
I think the most important thing for us to know about Chris is that he lives with Brian Wolf of Fair City Fire.
Ooh.
That is true.
Is that the most important thing?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know. Like, I mean, well, obviously we know Chris is a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's got his band. He's a songwriter. So is Brian. What is it like to live with a songwriter, Chris?
It's a lot of hearing people play things over and over. At least I'm sure this is more Brian's experience of living with me, where it's just hearing me play the same shit over and over and over, and make like weird sounds that eventually become songs.
Like you'd play the same thing for an hour, but change one chord every 15 minutes.
Days, like days. Like
It's true.
Yeah, I'm not making that up, am I?
No, that's the thing. It goes both ways, though, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So
doing the same thing.
But it's nice because I think we both understand that, where it's like, oh, this is gonna happen. This is a very normal normal in air quotes, normal thing to just do the same thing over and over and over. So there's a lot of that, and I don't know. It's pretty good so far.
Yeah, sometimes I come home and the Chris Strand and the Sinners are full blast in the living room, and that's pretty awesome. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's the full band, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Strand and the Sinners.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we rehearsed the other day. It was pretty fun.
Who's
First
that?
time in a
Who's
long
that
time.
can consist of these days?
These days, well, let's see. So it's me, Matt McDonald, Paul Pinion, and Chris Daly, and then Emily shows up sometimes to sing. So we've sort of
Are you okay with
dwindled
that?
the numbers. That she shows up sometimes?
Yeah.
She's so good that I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
I basically just like send her a demo of the song, and then she shows up to the practice before a show and is like, just does something that sounds great. And that's about it.
She seems like one of those people that has that natural ability to just like hear a melody and harmonize with it like immediately.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
Which is really cool.
Well, I mean, she like studied voice in college and all that. So, I could just be like, well, I want you to do a third here or a fifth. And, I could just tell her whatever, even though I never do. It's just like, try a part. I'll tell you if I like it. And I think I've had maybe one time where I told her I didn't like something. Maybe.
How'd she handle it?
How does she? It didn't go well. I think I ended up just being wrong at that point.
She ended up doing the part she originally wanted to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's totally how it goes. It's just, well, yeah. Oh, okay, you can explain to me why your part's better. Okay, you win. Because I couldn't explain it why my idea would be good.
That's funny.
I remember being pretty impressed with her resolve at Mohawk because she had like laryngitis or something earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And like you could hear it in her voice, but she's like, I'm not gonna miss this show. I'm not gonna, miss this opportunity to play at Mohawk and and jam with you. And
yeah, that was the album release.
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun, but that happened that week. That ended up being 2 of the members like final shows with us, and one of them got like caught in traffic, and so he literally got there 3 minutes before our set started. So it was stressful, but it ended up being really, really fun. Emily nailed it with laryngitis and everything. So yeah, no, that was a good day.
Did you know it was going to be the last show for that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I had talked with both the members, and they were, we'd had good conversations about it, and they were both just ready to do other stuff. They both hit that point with music where they were, where it wasn't fun for them anymore as much. It was just the grind of it got to be too much. Of course, they were both playing in like multiple other bands, and so I think for them that just got to be too much.
Well, you guys are all experienced musicians, having been in bands for a while, different bands. Like, I'm curious. It occurred to me, like, what's the best way to leave a band? Do you think? Is there a right way?
Well, I'll say I know. I feel like the right way to do it would be to just like take the whole band down with you, and just like completely destroy it.
Hey, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it too. No, I've definitely destroyed bands on my way out.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, they should not be allowed to live without you. That's how that works,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But no, I feel like the best way to do it would be like finish out all the shows that you've committed to, or if you could, ideally like stay until they find somebody to replace you with. But sometimes that's not how. I mean, it depends why people leave. I don't know. If somebody's moving because of like a job or something, then obviously that's very different than just I'm done. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's tough. I mean, it's amazing how much it feels sort of like a breakup, really. Because you have this like connection, with somebody that, it's not the same thing, but it's very much, it feels like I don't want to spend my time with you anymore. Yeah. And it's usually not personal, but it's like, it's this weird breakup like feeling. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't think there's a right way to do it, really. I mean, there's better ways to do it, but like, there's no way that just like feels good to be on the receiving end of that, in my opinion. But
Like, is it like worth doing another show with somebody that says they're going to leave your band? And it's like, yeah, we're going to go out on it. I mean, because you guys kind of had that with Derek in Fair City Fire. Or should it just be like, if you're not in it, like, it makes it not as fun for us if you don't want to be here.
You know,
that kind of thing.
looking back at that, for me, it was like, I kind of wish we didn't have a show that was like Derek's last show, because that Blackheart show was so awesome. And that was sort of like before, I think we knew that he was leaving.
It was the second to last show, wasn't it?
Yeah, he told us before that.
Yeah.
But like that show was so good. Like,
because it wasn't the last show. And it was like, just.
It was
like
fun.
Empire was okay, you know, but I think, you know, that one at Blackheart was great. You know,
were the shows like close together? I don't remember.
They were fairly close, within a month or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blackheart's fun just because it's packed.
Yeah.
So
all the time.
you know, and there's no expectations to draw because you don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And playing seems the same way. There's just go out there and do your thing. Like, you're not expected to do anything else besides play music.
Exactly. No, that's nice.
And there's always a lot of people there, and that was like a good show, I think, because there was, and there was. I think I remember there was a good response.
Energy on stage was fucking awesome. You're right. That was probably one of the.
That almost felt like the last show, or like it should have been.
It did. It was between all four of us. It was really cool. It's good energy on stage.
You guys should have
And
just
so
said
was-
that's the last one.
And so was Empire. It was great energy on there too.
it was.
But
that was.
but there was something special about that Blackheart show. You're right.
Yeah, I felt like a different energy out of that show.
Yeah, it was good.
And maybe it was just because, like, by the time Empire rolled around, it had kind of sunk in that he was leaving, you know? So just kind of, like, made the whole thing a little bit weird for me at Empire, you know? Just, like, at Blackheart, it was like, okay, this isn't the last show, at least, you know? We're jamming out, we're doing our thing, and then, you know, I don't know. Empire was just kind of like, wow, you're really doing this, huh?
Yeah. Finalized it.
Yeah.
It was like it was it.
For real.
Felt real, yeah. Which
sucked. That was
yeah,
tough.
It sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. It's kind of sad.
It was, and not only because he was a great musician, just because he was a cool dude, you know. And that's hard. Anyone who's ever been in a band can tell you it's hard to find good people to work with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard.
So to see that go, it was just kind of like, oh shit, how are we gonna find someone who's normal to come back in, you know?
Right.
And luckily we got there fairly quick, it seems. I mean, we tried a few people out, and one in particular that stuck around for a bit, and then found Clint. He seems to be pretty normal.
Yeah.
You know?
Although he'll never come in for a podcast. Jeez, Clint.
Yeah.
Stop being so cool and going to awesome shows.
He's
Jeez,
this
Clint.
party animal. He's got to be out
Yeah.
partying. And
Yes.
Chris, you ever had I mean, I know you work with a band, so I think you probably have more turnover than the average, Diversity Fire band member, but how do you handle those?
When people leave,
Yeah.
been pretty lucky so far. It seems like as soon as people leave, like when Jeff, our old drummer, left, Paul stepped in within a month, and he just worked right away. He was like the very first person we tried out, and I was like, oh, this sounds great. He like showed up to rehearsal, like knew all the songs, had them all charted out, and I'm like,
Stalker.
yeah, right, yeah. And yeah, so I mean, there's some of that where I've been really lucky so far with just who's shown up, and some of it too. I know now, I'm kind of just like right now we don't have anybody playing keys because Bill is gone, and I think it's just gonna sit that way for a while. Just like you kind of learn to adapt to it, if that makes sense, because I guess
it does.
For what I do, which is maybe different than like in a band situation, it's like the songs can just change, you know, and I could just be like, well, this is what it's gonna be for a little bit. I'm very okay with like, all right, so now we don't have any keys, so now we're gonna play everything a lot more like a rock band, you know, and then I'm just gonna like let people explore and do their own thing, and I just keep playing the same thing. I play the songs and they do whatever they want, basically. And so that's kind of how I've tried to handle it, because the turnover has gotten to the point where it's just like and also like people, like when you're the songwriter directing everything, it's not fun to be the guy who has to constantly tell people, no, don't play that, you're supposed to play it like this. That's really not fun for me.
Do you feel like that always, like even saying things like that, like pushes people out of the band? Like you feel like, oh, every time you say that, they're not going to be with this band. They don't want to play with me anymore. The more I tell them these things.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like any band thing. I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys could talk about this too. Like, as soon as somebody starts like, no, you're gonna play it like this.
Yeah,
that gets real old, real fast.
there's a huge difference in tone with that. It's
Yeah.
if you're just like, hey man, why don't we try this?
Right.
Or like, what do you think about like maybe doing it this way? If you say it like that, like
Mm-hmm.
it can work, and you have to mean it though.
Right.
It can't be like hey, maybe we'll try this,
Like seed in
or
their
else
eyes.
I'll
Yeah.
fucking kill you, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that something too that you let them know when they join? Be like, hey, this is kind of what I'm expecting from you,
Mm-hmm.
or do you not even bring it up?
I don't mention a thing.
Yeah.
Like, so far with everybody, I don't say anything unless it's like, and the only times that I've gotten to a point where I feel like the only time I really say anything now is just like, hey, that's too much. Like, we need less. Like, back it down.
Right.
That's really about, with the current people that I'm playing with, that's about all I'm saying.
And is that like?
It's a really valuable thing to say to people sometimes.
And what I'm wondering is, when you say that, is that them playing what you want them to play, or is it like, here's what I've got going, you add in to this, and then I'll say less or more of whatever your ideas are? Like, or do you tell them like?
Well, so here's how it typically works, I guess, with the band that I play with right now. Like, I show up, and every time that we get together, if we're working on new songs, I'll show up with like 2 or 3. And I'll be like, all right, this is the one that I think we can probably do something with. And we'll start with that one, and we just start jamming on it. And if we can't figure out a basic like pattern, or like people can't figure out parts and the groove just isn't there within like 30 minutes, we just move to the next one, because clearly there's a problem
Wow.
with this, like the structure. or
And so, do you
something.
mean you're playing like just basic, just chords and trying to get a rhythm, and then trying to get everybody else in on that?
Yeah, it's exactly it. I just say like,
I mean,
all
do
right.
you have like a chorus ready and a verse, or, or
like
just
I have
basics?
I have the whole song like
okay.
written,
Oh,
and then I'm
alright.
just like, all right, this is basically what I'm thinking, like kind of like this type of a song. And then I'll be like, all right, here we go. And then I'll just play it for everybody, and they sort of listen, play along a little bit, and I say, okay, let's run it. And then typically, like, if we're not getting like something interesting going in like 30 minutes, it's like, okay, clearly there's something not working here. So then we like shelve that for a bit, and I'll go work on it. And then we try the next one. Because I don't know, like all the stuff that we've written lately, it's all been like, oh, it's going to go like this. And like, we have it just like very, very quickly. Like the basic structure. Obviously the parts aren't finalized, but the basic plan.
What do you do when you release an album and then you've got new guys come on and you have to revisit these songs?
That's hard.
Yeah. Do you try to get them to play it more like the album, or do you say, here, I'm going to play my part that's exactly what the album is, and then you can, it'll sound to someone who sits down and like listens to both, they could probably notice it, but you think the majority of people actually probably don't even know?
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes if somebody plays something like way off base that like completely changes the song, I'll say something, but like most of the time everybody like they'll listen to the album and they'll show up like, okay, yeah, this is what you guys did.
Ready to
so
go.
like I haven't really had to say much.
That makes sense.
And I mean,
it makes it probably easier for them, I
But
would
the
imagine.
expectation is pretty much generally like, let's try to make it sound like the album a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
And then sometimes, like, we have a song from the record where, like, when Paul showed up, he completely changed the entire, like, bridge. And it was already recorded and everything, and he just went into something one day, and I was like, what in the world? Do that. That's great. I like that better.
What song is that?
Barcelona.
Okay.
Like, the
That's
whole
cool.
bridge, he's just playing, like, this weird, like, Latin beat.
Barcelona.
Yeah, and it's like,
Ooh.
and it's just like, that's perfect.
Seems appropriate.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should be stricter. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, what about?
like it.
Well, I'm curious with the Fair City Fire guys. Like, when you guys are bringing a song, what does it take to keep it going, or what's the point of giving up on a song? You know, like when is it like, this probably isn't gonna work, or do you like shelve it and be like, oh, maybe this will be a chorus for something or a refrain for something? I mean, how do you decide where things will be?
I don't think
Either give up.
that particularly happens too much. Usually the songs that are brought to the table turn into something. There may be older songs that we don't play.
You just
anymore.
write great songs all the time.
I don't mean it like that. I just think
it's all gold.
Usually
no
it's like, Brian will come with like a verse and a chorus part, and then he's like, that's all I've got. And usually it turns into something pretty cool because we all kind of put our spin on it and it works. There's some older songs that, kind of go away, I guess, if that's what you're talking about. And you kind of shelf life on some older songs kind of end.
So does it just fade away? Like you guys, like maybe there's a song that you've been working on, but in a few practices in a row, like it does. Nobody's like, hey, let's play X, Y.
I can't really recall that happening too much.
No, I mean, usually, I'm sure like Brett said, we've kind of finished some songs and then they didn't end up on the album and we don't play them live, but it's like, I feel like we don't usually cut that off. Like, we usually will see the songs through at least.
Yeah.
And, make them into a complete thing that's like interesting, to us, And
play them out, try them out, see how they go.
Do you feel like you're the quote, like the guy of the band? I mean, I'm wondering what that feels like. So it's like, I mean, you hire people, right? I mean, you probably pay them to be with you. Does it feel like you're paying them? Does it feel like they're in your band? I mean, how's that relationship feel? And like, how do you get what you want out of that? I mean,
at this point, it's kind of gotten, because some of the guys we've been playing together for like multiple years at this point.
Yeah.
So it does to me feel like a band. And I mean, as far as like getting the things that I want out of them, man, like when I first started like making the band and like picking people, like in the sense of like who I wanted to play what, I mean, I picked them because they did stuff that I thought was really, really cool and way like cooler than anything that I could think of. Because like I remember like, because I got them together for the Settle Down record release, and that was the whole thing. It was, okay, I need to get a band together for this show, and then after the show, like we just kept playing together because it was really fun. It was just like, I want to get all these people who are really good at what they do, and I want them to be doing things that I don't understand, but I like, basically. And so,
do you mean like with your songs or just in general, like just whatever they can do with their instruments?
Like I don't want to, like I want them to be better players than me.
Ooh,
basically.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I wanted to be the worst player in the entire band. And I still feel like that every time. Like 100%.
That's a great way to do it if you can get in a band that way. Like, you can get in a band and you're the worst player, right?
Well, yeah. Well, there's so many times, I'll be playing something and they'll be like, well, actually, it makes more sense if you do it like this. And I'm like, well, shit, you're right. Okay. You win. But, like, so I don't know. As far as getting them to sort of play what I want, they usually play something that's better than what I want. So
it sounds like, I mean, what you're saying is like you have your song and you've chosen people that fit your feel, but then you totally let them have their impact on the song as long as it serves the song.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it takes a while to figure it out. Like you guys know, when you go in to record, especially, and you hear everything really, really well, you can figure out really quickly when somebody's playing too much or like there needs to be more of somebody doing something. Like, and I feel like just about everybody in the band, especially now, like really understands like, okay, there needs to be more or less. And so like last time we were recording, there was a whole lot of somebody be like, oh, actually, hang on, I'm going to rein that in, or like, oh, we need something here. And then I'd have to be like, okay, you take it.
That's such an important thing, man. Just like being able to know when you're playing too much. That's a huge that's a huge sign of maturity as a musician, I think.
Yes.
Because of course, like there's this temptation to just like always show people how awesome you are at your instrument, like, and it's like, there's this temptation to just keep, just running all these scales and just ripping the whole time. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, it does, that doesn't really serve the song. And like, how much of a bummer is that when you go see a band and everybody's just like freaking going nuts the whole time, like, and nobody's like really caring how the song goes. It's like, it's just, are you guys even listening to each other? You know, it's like, so it's really cool that, you know, you guys have that focus. That's really important. And you could tell, you know, watching you guys play.
Well, I mean, I've seen so many bands where it's just people going off.
They could just be mad chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys ever like listen to your earlier stuff and you go like, oh my God, like what was I doing?
Oh,
you know, where you're just like, you're just going off the whole time. Like,
I think for me, for us, it's like, wow, that's really simple. Like, there's not much to that song. It's
it's kind of the other way for us.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, it's still the same in a sense, but yeah.
I can remember being like a solo songwriter and just like feeling this constant like urge to just fill up the space all the time. Yeah. And then like realizing, and then like constantly changing riffs. Like I remember I had one song where there's like 6 parts or something crazy before you even get to the chorus, and it's like that's stupid. That's ridiculous.
But when you first wrote it, you're like, "This is so good, so prog."
This is epic. Yes,
I vividly remember the thought of I don't want to repeat anything. Which is stupid. But
I mean, you got to think about like, do you like hearing that in songs?
No.
You know, and like, if you're listening to somebody play, it's like, is that something that I look for? Is like just utter chaos? You know, no. Like for the most part, you know.
Right.
So how do you? I mean, with the people that you have, it sounds like you bring people into your band, Chris, that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that you can jam with, and you can play live with, and what do you do when they make a recommendation that you definitely don't agree with? Is it like, nope? Is it more like a creative discussion? Like, you know, you're creatively thinking like, oh, that doesn't work? Or is it more like, well, it's my ship, I'm directing it, and we're not going to do that? Like, I mean, what's the balance in saying no to somebody?
If it basically I don't know. I always try to have the rule where it's like, if anybody takes the time to mention it, we're going to try it. Like, we're going to try it at least once. We'll figure out really quickly if it's going to work. Because, I don't know, for better or for worse, it just seems like with the people that we have, it seems like a good system is just, if we can't get it to work, like, or seem like it feels right pretty quickly, it's probably a bad plan. And so we just move on to a new plan. So,
but it's always, I mean, it can't always be like universal in that agreement. I mean, like.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
there must be.
There are times where I feel like we're not doing that.
Yeah, or are there times you're outvoted? Do you think, but you still want to go in a different direction, and you declare that you want to go a different direction? Like, how do you do that?
About the fights? Do we fight?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't
declare kingship.
Get it out there.
Yeah.
What if someone's girlfriend drinks too much and throws up on the side of the stage?
I send a strongly worded email. No, I mean, even in situations like that, it's like that situation in particular. It's usually just like a, hey, so yeah, we can't do that, you know.
Like during the practice, like you tell them,
or
or do you go through it and then you're like, okay, we'll revisit it, and then you think about it later, kind of thing, or?
I mean, most of the time it's like, so like if we're talking about music, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the song. Like, does it, you know, is it a direction you wanted to go in, and you guys are jamming on it, and somebody's like, let's do this, and even maybe most of the people agree on it, but you're like, that's not where I wanted to go with it. Like,
this may sound like I'm making. I haven't like had that. I don't know if we've had that happen yet. I mean, like our newest song, I wrote it as this really slow, like, kind of like, almost like menacing song, and then we were playing it, and it was going fine, and then somebody suggested we should play this at twice the speed and make it a rock and roll tune, and that's not what I wanted to do. You know, because I was like, no, this is like cool and kind of eerie, and there's like all this weird like dissonance going on. But then we tried it, and I mean, it took a couple tries, but everybody was into it, and eventually, I mean, they won. They were 100% right. It sounds way better this way, I think. So I don't know if I answered your question at all. Sometimes it happens, I guess.
It seems that if you're at a space to know that even if that wasn't the direction, all of a sudden a bunch of people do it and you hear it and you go, oh shit, yeah, it does sound like they can change your mind because it does serve the song better.
Oh, 100%.
Even if it's not the direction you originally wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
You don't seem like you have much of an ego, you know what I mean?
no, I
Like,
mean,
to
I
the
wouldn't
point
want to
where
be one
you
of
would-
those guys. The
Yeah.
other thing too, it's like, I feel like it's important too to also keep that perspective of, even though like music's something that's incredibly important to me, songs are really important to me too. There's so many people who I respect so much who don't always put out, they put out songs and it's like, oh, that's maybe wasn't the best thing. And then they just move on. It's like, just because one song doesn't turn out the way that I want it to doesn't mean that the next one won't.
Mhm.
It's, you can't get too attached to it. I don't know if do you guys do that?
Yeah, they're not all going to be gold, It's
No, I mean, Ryan Adams, case in point.
Yeah.
Some of his songs are absolutely amazing. And then there are definitely about 30% of them that he could just like not do,
Yeah.
Hoojie's trying to get into Brian's shit.
Yeah. He's getting up in it.
Go on.
Well,
Go lay down.
that makes me think. Is writing a song for some people, or do you ever envision it this way, like a win-loss proposition?
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Like, you have this idea of a song. It's like it has to be, and if it doesn't go your way, I mean, this goes for all three of you. Is it a loss? Is it like, well, now it doesn't have it doesn't have the feel that I wanted to, or it doesn't have the soul, or it's missing something that I thought would have made it a great song, or would have expressed something that I really wanted to express, and now it doesn't have that. Is it like a win-loss thing, or is it always, is it a balance?
I think a really important part about collaborating with other people, and Chris is really doing that the way he's describing his writing. Like basically letting people do their thing. And we do the same thing in the band. It's in Fair City Fire, but it's like the most important thing is to not be completely in love with your song the way it is when you write it. When you're when you're going to be collaborating with other people, like you have to be open to change. Like you have to just know that like what you're bringing to the table is not going to be what you expect it to be necessarily. There's going to be curveballs because Joe's going to come up with a different beat, and and it's going to be probably like I would say 95% of the time it's just cooler than anything you thought of. So it's like as long as you're just not like stubbornly in love with what you came up with, like it's gonna work out great.
No, I completely agree with that. I remember like in college I took this I guess this was grad school even. I took this like writing workshop.
Dude, you went to grad school.
I
Oh
did,
man, you're the most educated man ever on the St. Loud podcast, I think.
Yeah, out in
to be true.
Portland, Oregon.
Maybe
Hold on,
maybe Dr. Joe.
Can we do a timeout?
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
hold
is
on.
it
We're
that?
gonna give you some fireworks. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, the fireworks just went off.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. It was great. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But like, so I was taking this like writing workshop, short story workshop, and like, people were basically, you write these stories, you spend forever working on it, and then you bring it, and everybody just basically tears it apart. And some people would take that, and it would really affect them, and I remember the teacher saying like, okay, do you want to be a writer or do you want to journal? Do you want to be a writer? Where it's just like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's so close that it's just yours, or do you want to like put things out there for people? And he would say like, you have to be ready to kill your darlings. You have to 100% be ready to do it. Like,
Look at the
Makes
flowers.
sense.
yeah.
Look at the pretty flowers.
Look at the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I 100% think that's true. You have to just be ready to be like, I love this, but it doesn't mean it works. I don't know. I've had that happen plenty of times. I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know? I mean, is there times you're hoping to sell a song that you don't know, you're not 100% on, but you're like, man, I hope they're into it and we can really like do my idea justice? kind of a thing? I mean, do you go into it like 50%? Do you ever propose a song that you're like 50% in on? And
Oh,
you
yeah.
hope it works out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's been multiple times when I brought a song to the band, and it's like, I don't, like, I'll even say to the guys, like, I don't think this is going to work for our band, but I wrote this, and let's see what happens. And, like, Hold On to You's that song we've been playing out a lot. I know that was, like, one that I was, like, listening to Ryan Adams a lot, actually, leading up to that, and I was like,
We don't have to keep sucking Ryan Adams' dick. But
I'll stop doing that.
Yeah.
I just saw him at ACL.
Yeah. Oh, really?
He's heavy on the mind, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
That was
paid
great.
for it, so go ahead.
Yeah. I'll stop sucking. But no, it's so it was just kind of had this like different sort of feel than what we've been doing, and it's like guys, I don't think this is gonna work, but like let's see,
Give it a shot.
and then we just started playing it, and it turned into something that works. We end up playing it pretty much every show now. So
It's probably one of my favorite songs.
It's probably one of mine too.
Because of
I would
that.
say, yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
being so different.
yeah,
It
Cool.
shows a little bit of, I don't know, a little variety, that we're not just straight rock and roll, and that we can be more on, I don't know. It's kind of a creepy song. It's an eerie song in a way, in a sense. Before
A
we
little
named it,
creepy
I
sometimes.
called it Cowboy Samurai because it felt to me like this. It had like a traditional kind of like Western feel to it,
Yeah, kind of.
but also maybe it reminded me of this cartoon called Samurai Jack. Did you guys ever watch that?
I can picture it, but I don't think I ever saw it.
I know.
But it's kind of a dark samurai cartoon. You know what I mean? But so I don't know why it came to my head, but I mean before you named it, I even because I record some of our practices and
That's smart.
I'd send out our the songs you're working on so we could think about it often. And since he didn't have a name for it, I was like Cowboy Samurai.
Yep.
But you did that with another one as well, because that was one you and I played as an acoustic duo for a long time, for a year.
And that's the name of the song. Is another one, not
Yeah.
like hey, there was
Oh.
another song.
Yeah.
I totally thought you were just saying there was another song.
No, and
Yeah.
it's called another one, and it was similar vibe, kind of like a softer song. But
Yeah.
once Joe, we kind of brought it. I think we didn't even play it as a full band. I think we were doing a long set as a 3-piece somewhere, and
Yeah.
we were like, well, let's use this as a filler. Brian and I know it, Joe, and then it turned into kind of a cool rock ballad almost.
Yeah,
in
it's
a
still like
sense.
just as sad, but it's got this like kind of rock
It's got
mist
it
to it.
moves.
Yeah,
It moves like a train or something. I don't know.
rockness,
It just moves.
rockness monster.
Rockness! Rockness! Get a little Dio chant going. Oh, God.
I'm gonna find the rockness monster. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, going off on a tangent here.
part of the fun of bringing songs is that, like, knowing that I'll bring some stuff here and there. More often than not, Brian's usually the one that brings stuff, but every once in a while, I'll bring a little tune, knowing that the guys are going to turn it into something great. Like knowing that, okay, here's an idea that I like, but I'm not, obviously not set in stone, and I like bringing it to the guys because it always turns into something cool. Like just.
That's a good feeling
Yeah,
when that
it is a good
happens.
feeling. I did that several times when Derek was in it, and a couple times now with the new guy, and even as a 3-piece that we rocked for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun knowing that you can bring that to the guys and knowing that they'll take it and run. And
Yeah, I guess that's
turn it into
another
something
thing
cool.
is like I never thought about was, you can, do you write songs or ideas and think to yourself, man, like I love this like bit or this hook or this this lyric or this groove, and like I know when I bring it to these people it's going to turn into something great. You just get, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't care who takes over or whatever, but I just want somebody to figure out a way to make this great.
I think that's part of what Chris was saying, is surround yourself with musicians that are better than you.
Yes, 100%.
And it feels easy that way. Bring in something simple that just you may be tooling around on your couch with playing a guitar, and you go, wow, that's a cool little riff, but I don't have any idea how to go to a bridge or add a 4-chord change in the chorus that's a different enough from the verse part that separates the song, and then you go, well, I know someone who does, and it's Brian or Joe or whoever's in the band, and you bring it in, and of course it turns into something. You go, cool.
Oh yeah, something totally different.
Yeah.
So Chris, you are also a musician that makes podcasts.
That is true.
I said that like I'm a musician that makes podcasts. I said I'm not.
Yeah.
But is there a cover? You got some episodes on the internets.
Yeah, I have 20 and some change.
Yeah,
I think,
Brian was a
there.
guest before.
Yes.
I've listened to like several of them. They were good. Like I dig
thanks.
I dig with what you're doing. Like I like as a songwriter trying to figure out what's going on with a song, like where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, like, I mean, we're all podcasters here, like
One podcast.
yeah. Like, did you ever like learn anything from doing the podcast thing, or like did you ever like have somebody on that inspired you?
All the time.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, one of the things that I figured out really quickly, which was for someone like me who has a tendency to not be an anxious person.
Is that true,
Calmer than
roommate
you are.
Brian? Roommate Brian?
Calmer than you are, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, somebody who doesn't.
No, Chris never stressed out about anything.
Yeah,
No, it's
somebody who
really
never
funny.
stresses out over nothing.
But speaking of which, did you ever figure out who that girl was the other day?
Which girl?
The one that texted you.
No, I never figured it out. But
But you weren't anxious over it, were you?
No.
Oh, did
No.
he just let it roll right
Yeah.
off?
yeah.
Like he
I
always
just-
does.
Yeah. No, I didn't obsess over that for like a day. Like, who is messaging me?
Not for a
Who's
day
like-
at all.
No,
Oh,
not
man.
for a day at all.
Not for the whole day.
No, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But like one of the things that I figured out that helped me a lot with the podcast was figuring out that the way that I interacted with music and the way that I handled like stress, anxiety, and things like that, and like when like my life would get chaotic, it was always like, okay, I gotta go and write songs. I gotta go this direction. Just talking to other people and figuring out that, oh, I'm not the only person who does this. Like, I'm not the only person who thinks that way. So just like that feeling like, okay, this thing that I do that I think, is kind of, it's weird. Like in the grand scheme of humanity, it's kind of strange. It's like you get all anxious and worked up and then it's like, okay, I'm just going to go play an instrument and make sounds. And then, okay, it's good now. It's kind of strange. But to talk to other people who interacted with music in the same way was something, and not just like a couple people, but tons of people. Tons of people find their like catharsis in music. They find those moments where it's like, okay, I can handle by like writing music, listening to music. That was one of the most helpful things that I found out. And also you get to talk to cool people in a setting where like, honestly, when's the last time that you've just like sat with someone for a solid hour and just like, and you're both into the same shit and you just talk? I can't remember the last time that I've done that. Where
Like
it
a
wasn't
date? I don't remember. I don't remember the last.
Like outside of the podcast.
No, but yeah, like seriously.
That reminds me, we're almost in an hour, so we should finish it up here soon.
Well, it
No, I get
seems
it.
to be
Yeah,
more rare.
I mean, I think. Well, I don't want to steal this from you guys, but I mean, I think it's fun to be here with you, and like I feel like it's a real treat to meet people that create things that are awesome,
Yeah.
and to try to find out how and why you do it, and that's what I get psyched about. Even though this is the second time we're doing through this, it's like I'd appreciate it if you didn't destroy my hardware this time.
There's still time.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah, I know.
I'm working on it.
It seems
Jedi
like
mind
a.
tricks.
Oh wow, man.
Uh-oh.
Hey, did we mention that Brian
got
and
me.
Chris live together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got me.
Well, that's what I'm really
What's that
wondering.
like?
It's like,
You got in my brain.
It is. It's a cool moment to disconnect from the world and focus on just now,
Yeah.
which
It is
seems
cool.
to be a tough thing for people to do with so much going on with technology and the
Yeah.
ability to not be present where you're at and be somewhere else through a screen. So it's nice to set that away and and just go, hey, have a conversation like you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is nice when we do that with the podcast.
I really enjoy, I enjoy having friends on. That's fun. Like Chris and I, we're friends. I would say. Would you agree with that, Chris? Yeah.
Do you stay up all night and stress out about whether you guys are friends?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Does he like me?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
friends?
Does he? I don't know what to do.
He's in the room next to you.
He seems angry.
Brian's sound
Listening to the
asleep.
wall, like,
Brian's just snoozing. He's sound asleep.
He seemed a little angry.
Chris is
today.
worried.
yes.
Does he have enough blankets? Is he warm?
Does he have too many blankets?
Should I
Is he
turn the
too
AC
warm?
up, down, up,
It's my
down?
responsibility. I have to figure this out.
We need more blankets. No, but what I was saying is, pretty much like it's cool to have friends on, but I enjoy to have, strangers on, like that we don't know very well, that we may have seen perform somewhere, or we have a show coming up with. It's cool to get to know people that way, because it's such a really unique way to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, tell me everything about yourself.
We're gonna ask you questions and you have to answer them.
Yeah.
Right?
It's kind of old-fashioned if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's true.
And,
in the sense of just sitting down in a room and have a conversation with someone. And
but like Sydney, like that was the last one we did.
That was great.
She was, that was so cool. Like I knew nothing about her beyond just like I saw her at Stubbs. But it's one of those things, like we were playing next, so I was kind of half paying attention, half like getting in the zone, like I usually do. But
Oh yeah, Brian gets in the zone. If you didn't know that, don't talk to him 20 minutes before a show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a monster.
yeah.
But no, it was cool to have her on and kind of, like you said, like learn about her relationship with music. That's like a really interesting thing, for sure. Just in general with people, it's like, because you find similarities like you mentioned, but you also find like, big differences too with the way people approach doing this. It's really like Sydney with her loops. Like it's a whole different world. Like
Also, like, everyone, in a way, like, is interesting, if that makes sense. You just got to figure out what is interesting about them, if that makes sense. Because some people, it's, like, very, very apparent. It's like, wow, okay, you're an interesting person, and, like, but not everybody presents that right away. And when you're doing, like, a podcast where, unlike our current reality where people go into their phones, and they can retreat so that they don't have to, like...
They can be entertained immediately.
Yeah,
for
or if, like,
however-
you get to a point where it's, like, there's an awkward point in the conversation. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm
That's
just
a
like,
burn.
oh, well,
Oh, man.
I should probably...
Don't underestimate my power.
that's Strand's next album.
Don't underestimate my power. I like it.
So we're back at it. There was a slight hiccup because Chris Strand destroyed our technology and my technology again. Basically tried to destroy my computer.
Again.
So he's good. He's good for one PC a year, Just like I don't think it'd be this soon. I thought it'd be more of a Christmas thing, but yeah, you're like, hey, and October's a good time for a gift.
There's cheaper ways to get out of being on a podcast.
Yeah, you could have just said no.
Oh, why would I do that? This is fun. This is fun trying to break your computer.
I want to get into a game.
Okay, let's
now
do
that
it.
but first, I want to see, are you do I understand correctly, you are an English, as a professor or teacher, or what, who do you teach English? To whom do you teach English?
Yeah, no, yes.
That was great.
I teach English at ACC, the community college here. I teach in the dual credit program, so it's kind of high school kids, but college classes.
So it's basically 18 and 19-year-olds and 35-year-olds.
No, these are all just high school kids doing it, because
Okay.
it's like they're high school kids who are coming.
Dude,
to
don't
take-
brag. Don't brag. What's the most frustrating mistake an 18 or 19-year-old can make in English, just for all of our listeners?
Well, there's some obvious ones, like just not turning things in.
Oh, that's nothing to do with English.
Well, the other one that drives me nuts is people are they don't understand how to use S's for some reason. They're putting like apostrophes everywhere. So there'll be a saying like, look at all the cards, and then there's an apostrophe. And it's like, what? So that's something that bothers me.
What's an apostrophe?
That is a piece of punctuation that you use to show ownership.
I thought this would be really exciting. Let's go to the game.
That's fair.
All right, so we're gonna play a game. It debuted with Sydney Wright, but tonight we're gonna play it again. It's called the game name, TM, and I think we're gonna it changes every time we play it. So we're gonna name some things. You guys are gonna name some things, and actually, this is in relation to Mr. Strand. And I'm sorry, Brett. This is gonna be a spelling contest.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and set this one out.
I think everybody's gonna have a hard time.
No, I'm setting this one out.
Oh boy.
So tonight we're gonna name. It's a spelling test of band names.
Oh.
Okay.
Band names.
This could be tough. Yeah.
Oh,
So we'll start with Brian.
Okay.
We'll go to Chris, and we'll go to Brett, and we'll keep going.
Okay.
If you miss one, you're not. I mean, whatever. There's no rules. I hope you all missed them all.
All right.
Oh boy.
The game name. TM.
Oh man. Here we go.
Yeah. Do we have a? Can we come up with the theme song for the game name?
I think we could.
Yeah. All right.
Let's, I'm gonna work really hard on that.
Yeah. Put all of our hours. Brian, how do you spell Led Zeppelin?
LED space ZEPPELIN.
Dude, that is perfect. The double
Yes.
P you got.
Nice.
You
Nice.
got you got PP in there. Yeah.
PP.
Yeah.
Nailed
Dude,
it.
You're good, yeah. All right. Mr. Strand.
All right. All right.
I'm not going to make it easy on you.
I know.
Leonard Skinner.
Oh man.
It's amazing how much I'm stressing out about this game. I
even-
don't stress, dude. I don't stress out about much, but spelling, I stress out so much.
It's like you're thinking I'm going to ask you to spell convenience or something.
It's my, dude.
You know, like
It's
one of
my
those-
kryptonite for sure.
Spell kryptonite.
Yeah. Oh, Leonard Skinner. Oh, LYNYRD space SKYNARD. Was that right?
Why didn't you keep going with the Y's? It's
Was
all
it the last
Y's.
Y?
It's
Oh,
all
man.
Y's. Yeah.
It's
I can't believe you. I can't believe you got that far with the Y's.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. You guys don't have to say
Skinner.
space, by the way.
Oh.
Because most of these are spelled wrong,
We
I
need
might
space.
have a chance.
Space
all right,
bar.
Brett. Spell Lincoln Park.
I'm trying to read if they. I don't know if I've ever seen it, like on. I don't know if it's spelled. I don't know if I've actually seen their name out right to know if it's spelled funny or not.
Well, that's why it's funny or not right now, and it's funny. You're not going to be the
Dude.
first one to get it wrong. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Pass. Hard
You
pass.
got to do it.
Can you spell fish?
PHISH.
Nailed
Is
it.
that right?
Yeah, that's good.
Nailed it.
All right.
That one I've seen.
Brian, do you know Lincoln Park?
I think so.
You want to give it a go?
Yeah. LINKINPARK.
That is correct.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Wow.
Not like President Lincoln.
Mr. Strand, let's
Okay.
do the monkeys. You don't have to spell the
Oh.
monkeys.
Do I-
I mean, you don't have to spell the, but
okay.
monkeys.
Monkeys would be MONKEES.
That is correct. Yeah, the wrong spelling.
Yep.
Congratulations,
Man, these are all trick questions.
Brett Winning. Gorillas.
Oh.
I know it's a band you've been listening to.
Yes.
The new album. Did you happen to look at the name? Like their
I think it's GORILLZ.
AZ? Is that what you said?
No, I
No,
didn't.
you didn't know. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Gorillas.
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 So close.
All
So
right.
close.
You're holding up your reputation.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna blame it on my brothers for beating my ass when I was little.
What do you mean?
Oh, my head suffered several blows. Being the youngest of three brothers.
What do you
so-
mean? Did you ever get thrown into concrete or something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got hit in the head with a golf ball. My brother was hitting golf balls.
Spellings for dorks.
I had a trampoline incident where I was hiding behind a trampoline, like one of those mini ones, the little,
yeah.
like small ones.
Like
it was
to dunk on, basically. Like
yeah,
you're
just
gonna
like
hit,
I don't know,
The
3
real
foot.
exercise ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of on an angle, like leaned up against the wall,
Yeah.
and I was young and I was hiding behind it. And my brothers came downstairs and they saw me and they ran and jumped on it and like hit it, and it hit my head up against the concrete wall that it was on.
Oh my God.
I suffered a lot of blows then growing up. Yeah, I got picked on quite a bit when I was a kid.
really only affects your spelling, I think.
Yeah, it's one. I suffered
pretty,
I suffered a lot in my spelling
Yeah.
department.
Pretty specialized.
I mean,
Pretty
Just
soon-
affected that part of the brain.
Yeah. No fits of rage or
if you
No.
think about it, it's really hard to put 26 letters in random order together. Like in any, it's like, I mean, how do you know? That's fucked. I get it.
That's funny.
Brian,
Yes.
we're gonna do Def Leppard.
All right. DEF space LEPPARD.
Dude, this dude is a ringer.
Yes.
This dude is a ringer. Yeah. Bringing it.
Rock Nest
Bringing it.
Monster. That's why they call me the Rock Nest Monster.
That's why. Yeah.
Rock Nest Monster.
I love that you were partially really excited. Like that was the reason.
Yeah.
Dude, do you think you're the best rock star speller in Austin?
I gotta be up there. Gotta be up there. Yeah. I would never say that about myself, though.
Mr. Strand.
All right.
We're gonna go with Motley Crue.
MOTLEYCRE or no CRUE.
Dude, you got it, man. 80 spelling of crew. Yeah.
Dang, all that U with the 2 dots on top.
Yeah. Ooh, it's umlaut. Umlaut. Motley Crue. Motley Crue.
What?
I am the drummer for Motley Crue, and I bond Pamela Anderson.
That's
Is
good.
that a Tommy Lee talk?
No,
It was
not
a-
at all.
I know.
I never heard him speak.
Yeah.
That would surprise me.
That'd be great if he was like.
He did a
Brain.
years back. He did a like an MTV show or something where he went back to school
Oh God.
and he was in drumline in school. And
Did he crush
No, he
drum
was
line?
fucking terrible at it.
What?
Like he
Really?
couldn't play the
Like marching band drums?
It was marching band, but I think it was like the 4. I don't know if they're all
Oh,
snares or
the quads,
whatever they
call
have.
it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
quads.
yeah.
Yeah, but he was.
They're more like 4 toms.
We couldn't read music one,
Yeah.
and he was really bad at it, like real bad at it. And he didn't go to class. He just partied all the time. Of course.
That sounds about right.
That
Yeah.
surprises me.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
no.
can play the fuck out of a drum that's going upside down. around.
like a drum by rock set.
Yeah. All right. Sounds like Brett wants another spelling test.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
All right,
That's
Brett.
something
This one's for you.
I enjoy.
Your band name is ABBA.
I've never even heard of that.
ABBA?
Yeah.
Come on.
You know.
Dancing Queen. 17.
All right.
17.
Da-da, da-da, da-da.
ABA. I don't know.
What? ABBA. All right. Brian Wolf.
The Rock Nest Monster.
I think this is the hardest one. Spell Alanis Morissette.
Holy.
Oh. This might be where my streak ends. ALANIS space MORISETTE.
That is not correct.
Damn.
Oh, double S in the Morissette. Dude, you were close, though.
Okay.
Man, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It is good.
That's all right.
Closer than I would have got if somebody beat me. All right. And the winner of that game is... Not Brett.
That is correct.
Brett has -3. I think he's -6 total on the game name. So we'll get there.
If we're going on season totals.
Yeah, season total.
Brett's,
Strand.
Yeah.
Well, where can should people come check you out at the folk festival?
Yeah, it's the Dripping Spring Songwriter Festival. It's the weekend of October 20th. It's all day. It's free. You guys should definitely come out. The exact dates and times of the sets are up on their website, which is just the drippingspring-songwriterfestival.com.
How do you spell that?
Just Google it.
Yeah,
Google will fix it for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's some great artists that are going to be there. You should check out their music. There are links to it there. You can find my stuff on chrisstrand.com or all the usual places.
Excelente. What about Fair City Fire?
We're playing in Dallas, or actually, by the time this comes out, we just played in Dallas. It was good to see you over the weekend. But anyways, we got that, and we've got a show at 1-to-1 Bar on the 28th with a band out of upstate New York called Wild Adriatic, which I'm really excited about. They're really good.
Let's do it.
Checked out their stuff. They're awesome.
Let's do it.
So would love to get them on the podcast. If you're listening,
Yeah.
get your asses to the
If you're
podcast.
listening, yeah. Thank you guys. FairCityFire.com.
chrisstrand.com.